AG is going to be out several weeks. Swipa talked about the impacts for the rest of the guys, but this is going to be a little bit more than that. The Nuggets have got to stay together through what are going to be pretty hard times, but on the other side, it does afford an opportunity. All that plus a preview of Thunder Nuggets round 2. All that and more on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us, making us part of your day, being with us Monday through Friday, being an everydayer. We do appreciate you guys hanging out with us and being part of our community where everybody is welcome. You can check out the show at youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets. Hit the like and subscribe button. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers here in season. We're about 2,500 away. We've crawled and climbed and scratched and clawed, and we're trying to get to 2,500. So if you can do us a favor and go hit that like and subscribe button. If you're a longtime listener, if you're a new listener, welcome. Please give us that like and subscribe over at youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. The best way for you to get tickets to all sorts of events is Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. This is no jinx. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I'm co-host of Locked On NBA Monday through Friday in the afternoons at youtube.com/LockedOnNBA. I'm joined by Ryan Blackburn of Mile High Sports and the Pickaxe and Roll podcast. We are going to talk about the Aaron Gordon injury. So Swipa broke down in detail. It was a really great episode. Go listen to it. He talked about who needs to step up from not only like Payton Watson and Christian Brown and Julian Strawther and the complications and what they're missing with AG out, but also, you know, like how like, hey, this is the moment. And this is like Calvin Booth. This is your time. I thought it was a really good piece of podcasting from Swipa. So go make sure and check that out. What we're going to talk about is more of like the big picture stuff. Since Swipa handled the details of like the blocks and rebounds and weak side protection and the X's and O stuff, we're going to talk about like the bigger picture stuff. Second segment, we'll talk a little bit about the schedule and what does that look like. And then we'll talk about OKC versus Denver and preview that big Western Conference battle in the final segment. Ryan, let's start here. So my kind of reaction to this is the Nuggets were already a little stressed to start the season. Payton Watson had the hamstring injury. They go 0-2 to start at home. They go to overtime versus the Raptors and Nets. They lose a heartbreaker to the Wolves. And then, you know, they come home and they barely get by. They take care of business versus Utah, and they barely get by Toronto, but they do get by Toronto after trailing for most of the game. The team is not playing great right now. They're not playing well right now. They're not playing good right now. They're playing somewhere between fine and not great. And losing AG is a talented player who does a lot for your squad on both ends of the floor. And we, you know, again, we talked kind of all about that. My big thing here, though, is AG is such a versatile guy that helps things make things easier. I talk about that all the time, right? Make things easier. AG does a lot of that. And the lesson of the season is it's going to get harder before it gets better. And that to me is like the big lesson here. And Denver, not only from a basketball standpoint, but also from a mental and emotional fatigue standpoint, is going to have to hang together if they're going to get through the stretch.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And it was funny. Russell Westbrook, after the game, he made a similar statement in that the Denver's had a lot of close games so far this year. And he said it was nice to know that the team comes together in these moments, binds together, doesn't drop their heads, doesn't look around, doesn't fall onto the ground and staring around it, looking for help. They find the help and they support each other. And at least in this current moment, they have done a good job with that. Now, 4 of their 7 wins are against the Raptors twice, Utah, and Brooklyn. So it's not like they're world beaters here. And now the schedule is about to get really hard. And iron is maybe going to sharpen iron in this case, where Denver is going to have to start figuring out how to play better. They're going to have to learn how to do some of these things on the fly. But there is a lot of concern that without Aaron Gordon, one of the primary rotation players, one of the primary guys that you could always trust, always rely upon, Jokic, very big on reliability and consistency. Now you've got a lot of the question marks. Payton Watson did a nice job of filling in on Monday. Did a good job, I think. Overall, though, can you trust him to do it every night? And that's what Aaron Gordon was doing. Can you trust these guys to do it every single night, no matter the circumstance, no matter the game plan? That is the question here for Denver, and it is a big one.
I do think that in situations like this, there are opportunities emotionally for the team, because it's really funny. The NBA is such a slog, right? And I talk about that all the time, about how the regular season's so long and it's such a slog, et cetera, et cetera. And like, there's a very, I think, serious and worthwhile argument to be had about whether or not players being able to play this game and make a living, and not just make a living, but the tens of millions that they do, should have to have the kind of motivation that they do. But I also I'm pretty sympathetic to the idea of anything, no matter your circumstances, gets monotonous after a while.
Oh yeah.
But situations like this really do call into those kind of ideas that every player does buy into, like heart, hustle, togetherness. Like, those things matter. And when you have a guy that you do believe in and that has been there for you, like Aaron, and he's out, there's an opportunity for you to respond by wanting to lift up your teammates and wanting to be there even more. And the wins are sweeter because you did it despite this guy who's so valuable for you and that you love so much not being able to be out there and play with you.
It's a really good point. Yeah.
And so I think that there's like an opportunity here emotionally for this to be a little bit of a spark. I'm not trying to be like, it's actually a good thing that Aaron Gordon has a strained calf, but instead just to say, if we're talking about a team that looked like it needed an emotional spark, and they did, this could help provide that.
Think about where Denver started this year with OKC. They're going to face OKC tonight, and they're probably not going to win. Just without the players that they have, with the circumstance that they're currently facing, they're probably not going to win. But they might look better than where they did in game one. Again, I'm not predicting that. I think that there's a possibility that they figure some stuff out during this time with Aaron Gordon not on the floor. But so much of this is about the trust. It's about the ability to trust these young guys and put them into positions where they can succeed, but where they can also fail and then grow. And that is what this season has always been about for Denver. When the Nuggets decided that they wanted to let go of KCP, let him walk, start Christian Brown, elevate Julian Strawther, give Payton Watson a larger role, this was part of the calculus there. Denver knew that their starting or their core four was not going to be available for 82 games this year. They knew that they were going to have moments like these where guys have to fill in, they have to grow, they have to learn on the fly. And players like Jokic, and when he comes back, Jamal Murray, will have to learn how to trust the young guys and put themselves into positions where they can be successful with anybody on the court and not just the guys that they know.
I think this is also an opportunity for Jamal, right? Jamal used to be really like the emotional leader, and that's changed to a certain degree over the last couple of years. And I don't know that AG is like the emotional leader. He's more of like king of the vibes. Yeah. But I do think that this is like an opportunity for like, your team needs you. Like, they always need you, but like, they need you now, right? Like, there's just more accountability here. And it's not that Aaron really picked up a lot of the scoring load. Like, Jamal still had to be a good scorer for this team, and he had to put up 20 points a night and then didn't get enough credit for it. You know, him putting up 20 and 5, and it was like, okay, why aren't you an all-star? But I think that there's an opportunity here for him to kind of be that, fill that leadership gap, like take the initiative. Because I don't know if that's I don't think Joker can give anything more than he is.
The last time that Aaron Gordon was not on the team, and this doesn't really represent that, this is just a moment without, the Nuggets were starting Michael Porter Jr. at the 4. I believe they started Will Barton and Gary Harris at the 2 and the 3, and they were starting Jamal Murray and Jokic. And that was the best moments, I think, of Murray's career in the regular season. His playoff runs are a different story entirely, but perhaps this is an opportunity for him to discover some of the things with a wide open floor. We'll see about that, because it looks like I would guess Christian Brown and Payton Watson are going to start in their place, but I'm curious to see how he handles that, how he looks at that responsibility, and whether he can manage that. And if he can, then maybe he deserves a little bit more credit than he's gotten. If he can't, then that's a really tough place for Denver to be.
Up next, we'll talk about the schedule. What does that look like? I've got some good news and I got some bad news, and we'll talk about that up next with Ryan here on Locked On Nuggets. Guys, ever feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom? It's time you stop worrying about your performance and get Hims so you can feel confident knowing you can get there and stay there whenever you're in the mood. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. We're also brought to you today by Built. Okay, real talk. We've all been there feeling like we're burning cash with those rent checks. It's frustrating, right? But here's the deal. Built Rewards has figured out a way to make rent more rewarding. Say goodbye to the money bonfire and hello to a renter's revolution with Built. Built's Breaking Ground is a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month, pay your rent and watch the Built points roll in. Use those points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points toward a flight or hotel stay with 500 plus airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties. You can also use your points to book fitness studio classes. Redeem them toward a future rent payment. They're designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Built points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you. Join built.com/lockedonnba to start earning points with your rent payments today. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us for No Jinx. Ryan Blackburn and me, Matt Moore, here with you on a Wednesday. Want to let you know that you need to sign up for Locked On Daily. Go to lockedondaily.com. Sign up for the Locked On Nuggets newsletter. I'll have a preview of OKC in there. It should be in your inbox today. We're going to have a post-game episode that'll break down a letter that'll break down what we've seen from that game. I'll probably wind up doing the 10 piece, which is 10 things that we saw from the game, whether it's just funny things around the arena, quotes from the guys, etc. You're going to get something out of it. Just go to lockedondaily.com. All right, Ryan. So let's look at the schedule for the Nuggets over the stretch. Let's say that he's going to be out 6 weeks. It could be 2 months.
Man,
let's say 6 weeks. There's this kind of idea of like, well, he's out, 4 to 6 weeks, and in NBA talk, that's 2 months. Depends on the guy. Like, AG's a guy that plays through a lot of stuff and has pretty good recovery rates. So I'm pretty optimistic there. But let's say that he's out 6 weeks. They've got the Heat and the Mavericks at the end of this homestand after the Thunder game on Wednesday. And then they've got what we've been talking about, this 4-day break where they've got 4 full days off. So all of next week, they only have 2 games. That's a huge break for this to happen in that span. Then they're at Memphis, home for the Mavericks, and then away on a back-to-back for the Lakers on a Saturday night. Then they've got 2 games the next week with the Knicks and the Jazz, and then another 3 days off before they face the Clippers. They've got 4 games that first week of December. If this is all kind of running together, just bear with me. They got 4 games that first week of December. And then the next week, they've got the Hawks on Sunday, the in-season tournament, and if they don't make the semifinals, they won't play on several of those nights. So the most they would have in that span from those 2 weeks is like maybe 3 games. There is like a very good chance, like, I'm not saying there's ever a good time for Aaron Gordon to miss games, but while they face some tough squads, that's life in the Western Conference. There's a lot of break time in here, Ryan. That's going to help the guys with it. They have to play longer minutes, and it affords fewer games that maybe AG is going to have to miss.
Yeah, just kind of looking at it from that macro perspective, it is a good time for him to miss if there ever was a good time for him to miss. Denver obviously has the concerns of getting different guys up to speed, but you mentioned that 4-day off period right at the beginning of this, where Denver's got the rest of their homestand, but they're at home, and they'll afford them some extra time. I think they're doing some shoot arounds. They're making sure that they're maximizing as much of their time as possible during this. And then after the first 10 games of the season, they'll go on the road. In addition, like a lot of these are the in-season tournament games, and yes, they are against Western Conference teams. But if Denver doesn't really care about the West or about the in-season tournament, then again, this is the time to miss. Yes, there is a benefit to winning the in-season tournament, but it's not like extremely beneficial. This is an opportunity for the Nuggets to take on and maybe do some different things and try to get some guys in and up to speed for what this Nuggets rotation has to be. And it doesn't just has to be the main 3 young guys that we're talking about. It's the Hunter Tysons of the world, the Zeke Najis of the world. Maybe get Dario Saric back into the rotation. That would be, I think, very beneficial for Denver.
Yeah. If you look at, by the way, a good thing, if you just go find a calendar that's got the Nuggets schedule up and look at the difference in how dense the games are for November and December versus January and February, it's night and day. And so it's really, if AG's back by then now, somebody else might be out then. But I do think it's kind of like a helpful matter in that regard. I mean, I thought Swipa did a really good job of talking about everybody's opportunities. This is also like, there is a good question of should Malone have to be forced into playing guys, right? I do think that there's always, I think with NBA coaches, and this isn't just a Malone, because that's one of the things I always like trying to evaluate Malone based off of all coaches, right? Not just like, because everybody's so like narrow tunnel visioned on their team. And you're going to have opportunities because guys are going to get hurt. And you're then like, those opportunities are there for you to show what you can do. And if you do show out, then you stay in the rotation. And we've seen that consistently, even though like one of the mistakes I think was that when Vlatko and Zeke played really well in the championship season, when Jeff Green came back, it was like, nope, back to Jeff. And I always thought that was a mistake. That I was like, no, like Vlatko and Zeke had played well together off the bench. They deserve some opportunities. However, AG's hurt. MPJ can't play full-time 4. Payton Watson's not a power forward. Zeke Naji is going to play. Like he just did. Like unless he just gives all those minutes to Dario, Zeke Naji is going to play. Now, if Deron Holmes hadn't gotten hurt, I think Deron Holmes probably gets all those minutes.
This would be, you've mentioned this before, it would be the perfect spot for him. Just great. Absolute perfect spot.
It'd be great, but unfortunately, his entire rookie season was lost, which sucks. But all right, like everyone wants to see Zeke and everyone wants to see Zeke get his value up. We're going to find out. And I don't love that it's like now it's more pressure because it's like you have to play. But we're going to find out. Since everybody thinks that Zeke needs to play, we're going to see what that looks like starting this week, I think with the Thunder game.
Just in general, I do think that sometimes forcing that is important in terms of giving both parties sort of an honest look at things again, maybe reevaluating things that they had previously closed the door to, understanding that, look, we have a little bit of a window here in order to try to figure out some things. Let's try to rekindle that friendship, that relationship a bit, the coaching player relationship, and see if we could get everybody back on track. Is that going to go for Jalen Pickett? Probably not. But could it go for Zeke Naji, who's under contract for the next few years? Absolutely. So I hope that he runs with it, man. I hope that all of these young guys run with it, because if they don't, then the Nuggets are kind of up a creek.
On the other side, man, what a tough start for them without AG. They're going to have to face the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll see if the Nuggets can actually hang, let alone win versus the Thunder, which is wild. I'm going to talk about that too here on the other side on Locked On Nuggets. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time has great tickets for all sorts of events, concerts, shows, football, basketball, hockey. How about those Avs got to win on Tuesday night? Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Going to be going to Ball Arena soon to catch some Avs games with my wife, who loves the Avalanche and loves Locked On Avalanche, which you should subscribe to right now. And to get there, we'll be toggling on the all-in pricing so I know exactly what we're paying for before we hit buy. It's absolutely terrific. You get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you can know where on the court or ice your view is going to be. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Final segment on Locked On Nuggets for you on a Wednesday. I hope you guys are having an okay day. All right. So the Nuggets are going to play the Thunder on Wednesday night. They got the first game was interesting because the Nuggets led in that first quarter. And then it was one of those where you looked up and you were like, oh man, the Thunder are not shooting well. And all these things are happening. And it just felt like a matter of time before OKC took the lead. I first want to ask you this question because you've been a little snarky about OKC during this rise that they've had. Like, you have a little bit of the okay, hold on there. You don't get to be in charge yet. And now they're absolutely in charge. Like, they are 100% in charge.
There's some hate in my heart for sure.
Okay. Which is odd because it's not like I don't feel like this team has like a huge rivalry with OKC. They're division opponents, but I don't feel like they're big rivals. There's no bad blood between the two teams.
No. It's not that. It's nothing about OKC specifically. It's all about the opportunity that Denver had and how there was this talk about the Nuggets were going to be a dynasty, that they had an opportunity to really just lay claim to the 2020s and say that, yeah, this is Denver's time. This is Jokic's time to shine. And lo and behold, that lasted 1 year before things have really started turning upside down for the Nuggets. And OKC, to their credit, they took a lot of flack, including like jokes that I made about their tanking era and how horrible they were during that stretch for a long time, or what it felt like a long time, but it was actually just 2 years.
Yeah.
Really just two. No, and so here's the thing. Because of the Chris Paul transition, that didn't feel real. It just didn't feel real at all in that moment. And yes, they were they were good during that stretch, but they were kind of like, okay, Chris Paul is binding them together and making them functional, but they don't actually have a path to succeed in any way, shape, or form at the highest level. And that was sort of the game plan. And then they decided, you know what? Shea's really good. We've got some veterans here. Let's reset. Let's do the thing. Let's keep building through the draft and with these young guys. And they did a perfect job. And honestly, it's mostly just jealousy, Matt. It's just jealousy. This is what a functional rebuild, reconstruction, championship building run looks like.
The worst part is that they are the team that all of the very online NBA fans want because it's a bunch of young guys that are really good. Yeah. It's like the worst of both worlds. You're young, so you should lose, but you're just really good, so you win anyway.
What I called them, by the way, to you before, they have like 12 jack of all trades players. 12 guys that you feel, yeah, they may not be awesome in any one category, but they're pretty good in all of them. And that just makes it so easy to build and to win.
They're all like 40% three-point shooters. So every time that you're like, they're jack of all trades, master of none, I was like, I don't know. Feels like they've mastered shooting pretty well. And at this point, defense too.
Mastered defense. That's
enough gassing up OKC. Look, I'll say this. If Jamal's going to be out for this game, we think, right? Is he listed like permanently out? Is it like out?
Let me pull up the injury report real quick.
Oh, you don't know? Is something going on that's kept you distracted? I don't understand. Like, is it, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, there was something came up, Matt.
Something came up.
Yeah, so
I got it right here.
I didn't actually check the injury report. Jamal Murray is out for concussion protocol.
Okay, so he's out for this game. That actually makes me think that the Nuggets are more likely to win, and it's not about the whole what we talked about on Monday, which is like are they better without Jamal nonsense. This is like a letdown game. OKC has come into this building and won 3 straight, right? So now they got to come in with no AG and no Jamal, with players that they haven't necessarily played against or scouted as much. Who they're going to play a very different style without those two. And yeah, they're not as talented, but we see this all the time that teams without the Cavs went to the wire versus the Bucks without Chris Middleton and Giannis. That's how the NBA works. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if this game is close in the fourth quarter or the Nuggets win this game. I have bet Thunder -6, but like that's a power rating thing. I do think that there's like a very good chance here that the Nuggets are actually pretty competitive. What I do kind of wonder though is like some people actually suggest, I want to ask you this. Some people suggested that they should rest Joker in this game.
I did.
Just be like, it's fine. They won't because it's a home game. And they never do that. But I mean, look, I don't think they're going to lay down versus the Thunder. I think they'll come out and compete. My biggest concern right now is I don't know how Denver defends them, because what they showed in the first game is that they don't have the perimeter stoppers to contain them. OKC just missed a bunch of shots, and they're not going to do that as much this time. And Denver's defense is worse, especially without AG. So the only way for the Nuggets to win this game is they're going to have to win this game with offense.
Yeah, I wonder if Payton Watson just a little bit more agile as a perimeter defender than Aaron Gordon. There are some times where Aaron will close out a little bit short. He'll try to facilitate, hey, make a tough three over me, as opposed to getting up into their airspace and allowing guys to drive by, because he is a little bit slower than somebody like Watson, but it's not like Peyton's been tremendous defensively so far this year. So I don't know what's going to happen, but could Denver force a few more steals because they're gambling a little bit more in the passing lanes? They're playing with like Julian Strawther. If he plays some extended minutes, he's 6'7". Nikola Jokic, maybe he plays a little bit more of an aggressive defensive style as opposed to sitting back, and he's gambling in passing lanes as well. That's the only thing I could really see with OKC, because usually they're so good at protecting the basketball and making the right play and making good decisions, that Denver just has to junk things up. They can't just sit back and play traditional defense. They're going to have to play something that's a little bit more aggressive and flying around, and then hope that they don't get burned. That's the only thing I can see.
Yeah, I just think that the best way for them to win this game is to go back to 2021 style and just try and I just think it needs to be hyper offense. Now, the problem is that OKC's got the number one defense right now. They're better on defense than they are on offense, which is terrifying. It's going to be hard to score in the interior with Chet. Chet was really good in that first matchup. Joker usually adapts. We'll see if he does. But Denver, one of the problems, and Malone's talked a lot about this, is about how bad Denver's been in allowing shots at the rim. And so I am just kind of curious if Denver is going to have a hard time, if they're going to try and contain the shooting, and that's going to lead to more slips inside, as well as Shea's just such a good, they're all so good drivers. This is the thing, is there's not you got to make them drive. Nope, that doesn't work either. They're good at that too.
Yeah, I mean, I believe me, I don't have high hopes for this one. I'm not going to sit here and predict anything.
Crazy,
other
though,
than
it is crazy that they're this good this soon. It is wild to me, where I'm like,
yeah, it's really freaking cool, Matt.
Well, I didn't say cool. I said wild. It's just very surprising because you don't see teams make this kind of jump. Now, look, they still got to do it in the playoffs. They lost to the Mavericks, who weren't very good. They just weren't. That wasn't a very good team. And they lost to the Mavericks. They still got to do it in the playoffs. If OKC tears through the regular season, wins 60+ again, goes out in the second round, now they're chokers.
Yeah.
Right? But as far as a regular season concoction, this is a tough squad to face. That said, they're not invulnerable. They can be beaten. They do bleed blood. And, the only thing I would say is I think it's better if this game is a random, wow, can you believe that this happened? MPJ, Payton Watson, Christian Brown, rather than Joker does it again. I just don't know that leaning on Joker this heavy to try and beat the Thunder 1-on-5 is a good idea in the long term.
Oh, absolutely. No, the formula for this one, I think, is Joker having a 20, 15, and 15 game. It's not the heavy scoring, because what the Nuggets are what they get trapped in with Murray, especially with Aaron Gordon, especially, those guys can dribble. So they do dribble. And sometimes OKC is really good at picking pockets, cutting off driving lanes, doing things on the ball, and then helping in the gaps that really make things difficult for opposing teams. They are still very good at off-ball defense, but it's probably a weaker aspect of their defense than it, and especially against a team like Denver, where Denver can have a lot of great off-ball cutters and somebody like Joker who can find a lot of people. So it wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if they single cover Joker initially and say, all right, prove it. And we're not going to let you get anybody else involved. And if other people do get involved, then that could be where Denver actually kind of get something going. But I do maintain that 20, 15, and 15 would be good for Joker. No matter what they do against him, he has to be great. Like, I know what you're saying. He has to be great, regardless of the way that they choose to guard him.
All right, that's going to do it for Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us here on a Wednesday. Hope you have yourselves a great week. We'll see you guys again after the Thunder game. We'll have a post-game episode late in the night because it's a night game. And then we will have Swipa and Brian on Thursday, and then Swipe and Gripe on Friday. And then we'll be with you. We'll have another post-game show with you on Friday night before No Jinx on Sunday. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you again next time on Locked On Nuggets.